Hello, classic rock fans. I am here today to review a new compilation box set from Cherry Red Records. It's called Heaven Sent, The Rise of New Pop 1979 to 1983. Cherry Red Records is a label that I follow very closely because they have an absolutely massive catalog and they release new music every month. Some are artist-specific releases and others are compilations. And when they put out compilations or box sets of CDs, I always pay attention because their collections are very carefully curated and they're meant for the music fan. And today's subject is a good example of that. So let's talk about that new collection. Heaven Sent is, quote, a 4 CD set exploring the evolution of the new pop movement, 1979 to 1983, featuring the Human League, Fun Boy 3, Soft Cell, Scritti Politti, The Style Council, Heaven 17, The Cure, Eurythmics, Tears for Fears, Altered Images, Art of Noise, and countless other big names and lesser-known gems. So this is largely a collection of songs from British New Wave artists, as New Wave had its moment in the sun in music history in the early 80s. But it's not strictly New Wave. There are some songs that would fall into other genres here, which is a good thing, as it adds a little more variety and a little more flavor to the collection as a whole. But again, the crux of the collection would be on New Wave, as some of the absolute biggest names out of that genre are included here. We're talking about artists like ABC, The Cure, The Human League, Tears for Fears, Eurythmics, Elvis Costello, and on and on. 1979 to 1983 is when a couple of those bands were absolutely at their peak. So some of the songs that are on these CDs are some of these bands' best work, although not necessarily their most famous work. And what I mean by that is that most of the songs in this collection are not that artist's most famous song. And the reason for that is quite simple. There's just no shortage of 80s new wave compilation CDs that are just a aimless collection of 80s radio hits from new wave artists. And they're a dime a dozen. Go to any used record store, check out the CD racks, you'll find Ultimate 80s, Volume 1, new wave hits, and it's just all the same songs again and again and again. Karma Chameleon, Everybody Have Fun Tonight, Obsession by Animotion, Aha, Take On Me. Like, we get it. These are 80s songs that are timeless and great, but you can get them on pretty much any 80s CD ever. So none of these collections are really all that special because they're all just variations of the same thing. That is not what today's compilation is all about. Today's collection of music is meant for people who already know those songs and want to go a little bit deeper. It's meant to guide you towards other new wave artists beyond just that big hit. But don't get me wrong, there are some recognizable songs in this collection as well. The main point of this collection was to capture a specific genre of music from a specific point in time, which was both the commercial and artistic height of said genre. New pop, and new wave, frankly, peaked between 1979 and 1983. So these are some of the most influential bands out of that genre, and this is some of the best work from those artists. And it's projects like these that make Cherry Red Records so cool. They set the theme, and then they did the work to properly curate a really good collection of music based on said theme, which is no easy task. You really got to know your music to be able to put together a collection like this. I mean, it's 4 CDs. This is not a small compilation. This is almost like a box set. So there's a lot of music here, and there's a lot of bands here. So when you listen through these CDs, some of these artists you're going to make a note of to go and explore their catalogs later on, which is the whole point of compilations, at least for music fans. They're entry points. If you hear a song on a compilation that you like, now you know which artist to go and check out. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the booklet. It's one of the best things about these Cherry Red compilations. They always provide a great little booklet that includes a write-up about the genre that this compilation is based upon, and also blurbs about every single song in the collection, so you get a little biographical information about the artist. Okay, some of the big names on Disc 1 include The Buggles, Godley and Cream, Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark, Grace Jones, The Clash, and The Human League. And the most recognizable songs here are probably Pop Music by M and Video Killed the Radio Star by The Buggles. Both are incredible tracks. Very happy to see them here. Pop Music is an inspired selection. In fact, I have to think that that is one of the core tracks that inspired the vision behind this collection. And Video Killed the Radio Star, yes, that is a big radio hit, but it's also a statement, and it feels very appropriate to be included here. Some of the bigger names on Disc 2 include Eurythmics, Thomas Dolby, A Flock of Seagulls, Tears for Fears, and Dexy's Midnight Runners. One of the tracks I'll highlight on Disc 2 is Telecommunication by A Flock of Seagulls. Flock of Seagulls is a great example of an 80s band that's really only known for one song, which is a shame because there's a lot of great music in their catalog. And Telecommunication is one of those tracks. I just saw A Flock of Seagulls, I think, a year ago, and they were really good. And Telecommunication was in their set. That's a jam. Crowd reacted really well to it, and it just made me think that it's a bummer that more of their songs don't get more regular radio airplay. So I'm glad that Cherry Red included something from them a little deeper in their catalog, because that's a catalog worth exploring. Okay, some of the bigger names on Disc 3 include ABC, The Culture Club, Scritti Politti, Elvis Costello, Paul Young, and The Jam. One of the biggest hits on this compilation is Poison Arrow by ABC. Poison Arrow was the big hit off of their landmark album, The Lexicon of Love. And The Lexicon of Love is one of the most influential records to come out of this whole genre. So there's a reason why they picked the radio song from that album for this collection here. Also, that is one of ABC's best songs. If it's not their best song, Poison Arrow is a great freaking track. So I absolutely crank that one whenever I hear it. Glad to see it here. Oh, also, Scritti Politti. I was happy to see them on this collection because when I interviewed Joseph Wooten from Steve Miller Band earlier this year, he mentioned to me in our chat that he almost joined Scritti Politti in the late 80s. He was in talks with them to be their keyboard player.
Do you remember Scritti Politti?
No, that
sounds
great though.
Yeah, Scritti Politti they were like the early 80s. They were kind of a techno pop European thing that had some medium hits in the R&B. Then they wanted me to be their first keyboard player. They got skittish before they went out live.
Thankfully, that didn't pan out because then he was available to join the Steve Miller Band. But yeah, I didn't know who Scritti Politti was when he mentioned them to me in that interview, but now I've had a chance to hear some of their music, and it's pretty good. And then finally, Disc 4 includes some big-name artists like The Cure, Madness, and The Art of Noise. Again, just some of the most influential bands from the new wave genre, but I'm not going to highlight any of the tracks from them right here. The track I want to highlight from Disc 4 is called Buffalo Gals, from a group called Malcolm McLaren and the World's Famous Supreme Team. Have you heard of them? I bet not. I have not either. But I'll tell you why this song intrigued me. Are you familiar with this song?
Two trailer park girls go round the outside, round the outside, round the outside.
Okay, of course you are. That's Without Me by Eminem. Everybody knows Eminem, and if you know Eminem, you probably know that song too. But anyway, did you know that that part of the song is a sample?
Buffalo gal go around the outside, round the outside, round the outside.
That's Malcolm McLaren and the World's Famous Supreme Team. And stuff like that is what you discover when you get compilations from record labels like Cherry Red. Music history that might otherwise be forgotten. That's why it's cool to go deeper than just the radio hits of a certain genre. You discover what your favorite artists were listening to. A bunch of the artists on this collection are not household names, but they absolutely would have been known by the artists on this compilation that are household names. So that's why I was really happy with this collection. Cherry Red puts together really good products. I definitely trust the team that curates compilations like these. They are working really hard to keep music like this alive. Like I said, there's 100 80s new wave compilations out there that all have the same songs, and that's fine. You can get them for $1 or $2 at a used record store. Feel free to go get them if you want. But if you want to go just a little bit deeper and get some direction for what bands you want to explore from the 80s new wave genre or the new pop genre, check out this. Heaven Sent, The Rise of New Pop, 1979 to 1983, from Cherry Red Records. You can get this compilation at cherryredrecords.co.uk. You can get the compilation via CD or downloadable MP3s from Amazon. And if you're not ready to make the purchase now, that's fine. But as a music fan, I would really recommend you just follow Cherry Red on social media and keep an eye out for their new release posts, because they put out compilations and box sets like these all the time, and they're always really interesting. I just wanted to highlight one here to get a conversation going. I'm interested in projects that keep music from the classic rock era alive. So if you like new wave, I'd recommend you give this a shot. If you have the collection and you've listened to it, please let me know what you think in the comments below. If you're a fan of new wave and have some thoughts on how this collection was put together, please share that in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And also, if you enjoyed this review and you'd like to hear me talk more about new compilations from labels like Cherry Red, also please let me know. I'm just trying to find different ways to talk about how we keep the music of the classic rock era alive. So if you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to see me do more album reviews like this, please let me know. Or if there's another label that you would recommend me check out, please post that in the comments too. I'm all ears. But otherwise, thank you very much for watching. Check out Heaven Sent, The Rise of New Pop, 1979 to 1983, and keep rocking.
Boogie with a suitcase. You're living in a disco.